Peter, hello mate, in the YouTube chat. How we doing? Trying TikTok and YouTube at the same time. Who knows if I've got the bandwidth for it. How you doing, Peter? Busy studying or? Nando, how do? Swag arms, I remember that from last time actually. Toby just joined in TikTok. Hello mate. How we doing? If you're in TikTok or YouTube and you follow me on TikTok, in my follows is Toby. He's just joined the chat. He very similar to me, but he's been in the industry a long time, puts out good content like I do, so give him a follow. Been following him for a little while. Watching his stuff kind of made me want to do it, to be fair. So Toby, you're the reason I'm on TikTok. Two legends. Toby, I don't know if you see my latest content, but I've just started like a accountability group and stuff. Pre-orders and pre-sales on ebook and stuff as well. You should definitely do the same, buddy. The market's out there. If you can be bothered, that is. Pete, just a quick one. The job you posted in the group, was that from the recruiter you did the video with? Yes, it was. He just wasn't by his machine, so couldn't get me in the Discord, so he just pinged me on LinkedIn. So yeah, there is a link in my Discord jobs for a junior DevOps engineer, and the actual recruiting manager has come back and said you don't need to necessarily have experience, but you just need to be keen, basically. I can't remember the exact wording I used, just a sec. He said yes, no experience, graduate is acceptable as long as they're IT literate, have some exposure to the technologies we are after and are keen to learn. And that is exactly how I got my first job. Toby, if I had the time I'd look into consulting for mentoring. Hard at the moment is to do TikTok and YouTube and tech and football. Yes, I keep meaning to check out your football one. I don't think I've come across it. I think I've got you on your tech one on YouTube, but I haven't seen your sport one, mate. Don't know how you find the time. Having these two chats is a pain. Pete, great. I'll send him a DM. Yeah, do it, mate. Honestly, anyone who's in my Discord and you have got most of the stuff on my roadmap, start to reach out, because that is a perfect example of one where you could get lucky and get your foot in the door. And once you've got DevOps on your CV, like I've shown you, that's it. As soon as you've got the DevOps on your CV, that's what happened to me, that I just became massively in demand, even with a few months under my belt. So yeah, absolutely go for it. H has put in TikTok, thoughts on the current tech job market. To be honest, I haven't been in the market myself, but I just hired, 3 months ago, I hired a senior DevOps engineer, and the salaries I've been talking about are still available. That's what we pay. I'm hearing it's slowing down a bit. Like, the salaries are not necessarily going down, but the market has shifted a bit. But and on the flip side of that, like, I live pretty close to Williams F1. For those of you that know what that is, at sport, Formula One company, Williams. They've got a DevOps manager role. A recruiter reached out to me, and they wanted to pay me 65k for it, which is just, for a company like that and the money that's involved in Formula One, I thought was a joke, really. So yeah, I started to ask questions, told him what I was on, and he was like, what would you need to leave? And so, well, obviously you need to match what I'm on or have an incredible pension. And I didn't hear from him again, funnily enough. What have you put, Toby? Cloud DevOps skills, like a gold mine for you employers in the UK. Yeah, I still think the ball's in our court massively. As long as you can stay on top of the technologies, our skills are massively in demand, and it doesn't seem like it's changing anytime soon. Obviously, if I can get thousands of people through my course and stuff, then that might change, but we'll see. Most of these companies are always in search of 2 years or more experience. Yes, that is true, they are, but if you're not in my Discord and you are in a position where you've got a lot of the basics, so you've got Linux, you know what pipelines are, you've got experience of just understand the technologies in cloud, what else have I got on the roadmap, you know some scripting, then there is a job in my Discord channel, Discord server. There's a channel called Jobs. I've just posted it today, and the recruiting manager has said they just need to be IT literate and be keen to learn. And that sort of job, I think someone asked actually what was the ballpark salary. I don't know what that is, but it will be at least 30k. Like no one's paying less than 30k now, as far as I can see. It could go up to 40, but I don't know. But assume that your first junior role will be 30, and anything more than that will be a bonus. How does that someone who just finished the course? How does that FA hours someone who just finished a course? Can you rewrite that question, buddy? I'm not fully understanding what you've said there. What course? So as per how much should a DevOps engineer with a couple of years experience be earning? I've just done a video on that last week actually. I think I covered junior, mid-level and senior. 2 years experience, you want to be pushing for those senior roles. But if you've got the right experience, right? If you joined with a level of experience and 2 years later you're still doing the same stuff and you're not pushing yourself, then chances are you are still going to be at that kind of junior mid-level. Like the reason I moved a lot early on, I moved after 5 months and I moved after a year after that. So I was in my third job within 18 months because I wanted to use different stuff. So 2 years experience, 2 years of good experience, you should be getting 50 to 60k, 50 to 65k mid-level. If you've got good experience and you've got anything else behind you in terms of a previous career and that, then you could be looking at 70 plus. Like that's what I did. Do you know if UI UX designers make any good pay? Do you know what, the design industry is a bit of a mystery to me. Like I build websites on the side as well, and graphic designers and UI UX experts probably get paid a shed load of money, but I don't know enough about it. So, but you can find out easily enough. LinkedIn's a pretty good source of jobs these days, so have a look there. H himself, teaching software engineer. Wish I had seen your DevOps roadmap before I started. And Toby's replied exactly what I say. Relatively easy transition. Like rewind 10 years. Yeah, I don't think DevOps existed, or it was very. It was really just the culture. DevOps was, and what it did was merged a developer, so software engineering role, with developer operations, or it was just called operations then, or system operations. So one handled the infrastructure, one handled the pipelines, and then the software engineers built the software. Now DevOps is around, it's just a mixture of those two things, although it's still heavily weighted towards the ops side. Like I'm not writing applications, I'm writing scripts and very tiny programs. But if you started software engineering, you understand the concepts. Like if you can write in a language, you can turn your hand to another scripting language. You can turn your hand to Terraform, like all of that stuff, and the source control, Git, deploying code, all of that stuff all just sits under the same umbrella. So don't be like, if you've got a full language or you understand the programming, it's absolutely fine. YouTube's quiet. Is anyone in YouTube? Can't see my numbers. Can we just talking to the void, to be honest. Right, TikTok, what we got? Do you use any APIs? If so, how do you connect them if you have a key? I'm not sure what you mean, buddy. Yes, APIs are everywhere. I don't fully understand what you mean, mate. If you need to use an API that's not a free public API, then you will always have a key. Rewrite your question, buddy. I'm not entirely sure what you mean. Computer science student and got AWS CCP and working on SAA. How can I get into DevOps? First of all, don't worry about your certs unless your company's paying for them. They've never helped me. I got a couple of certs because they were free, but I wouldn't pay for them myself. My roadmap is one of my pinned videos on TikTok, so feel free to grab that. Also, there's links in my bio to my website, which talks in a little bit more detail, and there's a link to a Discord there, which gives you a bit more help as well. So that's it. The skills on the roadmap. Get the skills, and you can start applying for the job. The most important thing, right? So the reason I shit on certificates a little bit is because the exams are multiple choice, and so there's only so much you can garner from someone's experience by asking multiple choice questions, right? If you put the right answer in front of them, then like a lot of people could guess their way to a pass. Like the reason and that's why I dislike them. So right, learn the skills. For each skill that you're learning, be that scripting, be that Linux, be that pipelines, practice, code everything you can, store it in GitHub, and you've got projects that you can then make public and show to prospective employers. Because what you won't get is you put in your CV to say, I've done 20 courses on Udemy, I've got nothing to show for it, but just trust I can do the job. That's not how it works. Projects is what you need. I only had one project, but I was really, really lucky. It was a Python project. I was consuming a sports API, and I was automatically then tweeting. It was a football API for the Scottish Premier League. It was running every day using like cron jobs and Linux. So I deployed it. It was Dockerized. I'd done a bunch of stuff, and that was the difference for me getting the job. Bit nervous taking a senior position with expected responsibilities. So I was a senior after 18 months, well, by title anyway. After 2.5 years, I was a proper senior where I actually had to mentor juniors. And so you're always going to be, the only extra responsibility is being expected to speak up a little bit more and mentoring juniors. If the company you move to hasn't got juniors, then you can just be called a senior, and they're just calling you senior so they can pay the money to get the skills in the door. So, like, if we're talking imposter syndrome, I get it all the time. Less so now on the team lead, but beforehand, I'd get asked to do a task, and if it was a piece of technology I hadn't used before, I was like, I'd look at it for a little while, and if I didn't think I could figure it out, I'd be like, what am I doing here? I'm not a DevOps engineer. That happens. So, but like, you're also not going to progress unless you put yourself in situations where you feel like that. If you're just moving around from job to job, doing the same sorts of things, you're not really going to grow either your salary or your experience, which eventually you'll be like some of the people in my TikTok comments sometimes are like, I've been doing this for 10 years and I don't earn the money you do, like you're lying sort of thing. And it's because they've got 10 years doing exactly the same thing. I moved around very quickly a lot of the time, and that's what's encouraged. Like, tech people don't expect you to stick around for 10 years in a tech role. It's just not realistic. Like, the market moves so fast. You're going to get a 5% pay rise in your current company if you're lucky on an annual basis, or I can move and get 20,000 or 20%. Sorry, and some of my pay rises have been ludicrous. Like there's a salary salary video, but I started on 30 and I moved and got 52, and that's a 22k, like that's like 60%. I don't know, I can't even do the math. It's a big one. And then from 52 to 70 is like another 18k, so that's like 30 odd percent. From 70 to 95, that's another 25. Like we're talking like massive like 20 to 30, 20 to 40% pay rises. So sticking around, it is a mug's game, really. The box has put 42, finished it with a job after 23 years. I'm thinking of going into the tech industry next. Do it. Join my Discord, check out the roadmap, start learning the courses. All the courses are listed on my website, link in the bio. They're not my courses, but they're all the Udemy courses I did or have done since. I wasn't 42, but I was 33 when I decided to do that. I had a 15-year career in finance and payments, worked my way up in the charity sector and changed careers just under 4 years ago now. So no, you're definitely not too old to join. Duke, I mean, how to link an API to a website if I have a key for it. To consume an API, you need to call the API endpoint and you need to pass your credentials, and you will be returned with a JSON, usually a JSON object, and then you need to pass that object, and if you need to display it on a website, then you need to pass that to the front end. Ask ChatGPT, that will give you a good answer, depending on the tech stack you're using and how you do that. Premier Eden, is there a way to try a hands on a similar project as in a real project? What's that in response to, buddy? Is that in response to the project that I told you that I did? If it is, then I just came up with that myself. So a good way to prove that you know a language is to do some of the most common things, right? So you could set up an API yourself and then build a front end to consume that API, and with the basic CRUD functions, so creation, can't remember, create, remove, update, delete. You could do that, or you could do like I did, and I built like a Twitter bot essentially, which consumed an API, so I had to do that, deal with that, passing the JSON responses like I was saying to Duke. And then based on the information I was given, I was tweeting, and I was tweeting live scores essentially. Ahmed, what are the DevOps contracts about? Keep seeing them on job pages. So they're just fixed term contracts, right? Like DevOps engineers cost a lot of money, or good ones, and by offering a contract, the company know that they pay a bit more, but they know that they can sever ties with that person at the end of the contract without too many issues or no comebacks. If you employ someone on 100k and they are doing a good enough job, getting rid of them, if you potentially you've got a project on that might last 1 to 2 years, getting rid of them after that versus paying someone continuing to pay them 100k a year to babysit code is expensive, right? You can't just dismiss someone, and making someone redundant and then replacing their role with someone cheaper is really, really dodgy ground, especially in the UK with our employment laws. So they do contracts. So the contracts, I'm starting to see them now like 800, 850, 900 pounds a day, which if you work full time is about 200k a year. Absolutely ludicrous. And that's why they do it. Like they can do it for 6 months, they can do it for 12 months, and they can get rid of you at the end of it, and they will be better off. What is the best plot, Vivek? What is the best site to apply for contract roles at the moment? I don't use any sites in particular for applying for roles. I've got my last 3 roles via LinkedIn, and I've got a DevOps experience. Every recruiter that ever reaches out to me on LinkedIn for any reason, whether I want the job or not, I connect with. They usually send in a connection request first. I don't decline any. So I've got a network of over 1,000 people on LinkedIn. It's probably nearer 1,500 now. At least 500 of those are recruitment consultants. So when I say that I am looking for a new role, they get a ping and it says Mark Smith is available for work, and that's it. Then last time I did that, I should screenshot the time period. I had somewhere between 12 and 20 recruiters in my inbox saying, got this position you might be interested in. So then I had written out in my notes on my iPhone the stuff that I wanted and I wouldn't move for, and it was like minimum, at the time it was minimum 95k, has to be fully remote, no more than 1 day a month in the office, has to have pension contributions of a certain percentage, and has to use AWS. They were my 5 things, and so every single recruiter that sent me those roles, I responded with a polite thanks for reaching out. Here, before I look at this role or before you send me any more information, these are the things I'm looking for. And the amount of responses I got back to say, that's so refreshing to just get a black and white answer of what you're looking for. And some of them were like, I don't have anything for you, I'll be in touch if I do. It just stops wasting everyone's time, right? When you get a little bit older in the tooth, like I'm 38 now, you get a little bit older and you just start to care a bit less, and like you think, oh, I don't want to offend them, they'll never get me a job. There's not much you can say to a recruitment consultant that will stop them working with you, because at the end of the day they get commission off of placing you. They could hate you, but if you earn them money, they don't care. So yeah, I'm very black and white about it now. If I next time I switch it on, I'll be like I want a DevOps manager role or a head of DevOps role. I won't move for any less than 120k. I want 10% pension contributions. I want a car allowance, and I might only get 1 or 2 roles I get put forward for, but that's fine. I don't want to interview. Last time around, I interviewed for about 10 roles. I had to create a spreadsheet. I had to put all the company names in, the recruitment consultant's name. I had the hiring manager's name. I had the base salary, the bonuses, the pension contributions, and I had a columns showing like total compensation, car allowance, amount of holidays. It was ridiculous. Yeah, I had to switch it off after a weekend. That was it. I just switched it off, switched it on a Friday, switched it off on the Monday, and that was it. I got one of those jobs, and I pulled out of about 7 of those because they were taking too long. And the 7 I pulled out of are much more money than I'm on now as well. I've probably missed a bunch now. There's some of my YouTube, just a second. My YouTube is Mark in the Cloud as well, if anyone wants to follow over there. I do live streams over there, screen shares and stuff. What's the hardest thing for you to learn? What is the hardest thing for you to learn? I wouldn't say any of the things individually are difficult to learn, but what you'll understand in your first role is everything you've learned from tutorials and from courses and all of that and readings is it works completely differently when you're actually doing the job. Like, you're just learning like the technical aspect of everything, right? What to type and in what order and what structure you should do these things, how you should apply the Terraform, what cloud resources you should use, and they just tell you that in black and white, right? Quick segue. I am writing a course at the moment, and I will do video content for it as well. And I'm going to do mine differently, and because most of the people that do these courses just do the same old shit, right? They repeat stuff that's out there already. It's already on Udemy, and whilst I love the Udemy courses, it doesn't teach you the real life stuff. So I'm going to put sections in there like and what working life looks like, because they will just tell you to create these files and they don't tell you to structure it properly, so that when you walk into a new organization, learning the code base is the hardest thing actually. To answer your question, Pete, the hardest thing to learn is actually once you get the first job and learning how to read a code base and picking up a brand new code base, stuff you've never written or looked at before. Inheriting that stuff is the most difficult part of the job, I would say, and it can take months sometimes. Like one of my jobs, I spent 6 months rewriting our entire Terraform estate, because it was all over the place, and get it into a single place, split nicely by environment and stuff. But there were so many ways to do it, and it took me ages to even understand it. Like half of that 6 months was just getting my feet under the table and understand what it was. So yes, like I was saying, my course is going to be an ebook to begin with, and once I've done that, I will also do a recording. If you head to the link in my bio, you can actually buy it cheap at the moment. It's like £9 as a pre-sale. It's not going to be ready for a couple of months at least, maybe October, till it's about 50% ready. Then I'll actually start shipping it. So you can do that, and it's £9 at the moment. There's 100 pre-sales at £9, and then it goes up to £19, and it will keep going up until when I've finished it, it'll be £49. Anyway, this isn't a sales pitch, but I'm just saying, like, mine's going to be different. And I know everybody probably says that, but mine is going to be different, and it's going to actually prepare you for real life. Pete, so I hope that helped. The easiest to learn, I think, was probably what's on the roadmap. We've got Linux, Git, or source control. The source control stuff I didn't find too difficult. Once you understand the command line, and like people find it strange to me now, like lots of people use a GUI for their Git stuff, their Git repository stuff, which I find strange. Like, I do everything in the command line, so actually being able to use the Git commands on the terminal, like, I found it really easy. There's not that many you use on a regular basis. There's less than 10, I'd say. Like, you're not constantly having to do things like rebasing and stuff like that. Not in the you tend to rebase on a merge or rebase when you're doing a pull request and stuff. So I'm not often messing up code bases and having to do all that stuff. So you're just like doing some basic things around, like adding, committing, renaming commits, or like rolling back commits and cherry picking and stuff. There's not much that you have to do, and so I just use the command line for it. So that is what I found easiest. But to be honest, once you've got Linux down and some scripting and that, you're probably going to find Docker to be easier, because at the end of the day, a Docker image is just like a sub process of Linux running, and you can get into it. The container as if it was like a virtual machine, and it's not a virtual machine at all. They are very different, but you can treat it like one, and you can be in there, and you'll just, I think, yeah, the Docker bit was sunk in fairly quickly. Pete, also, I'm way behind on TikTok chat, just bear with me. Also, I know you've mentioned this, I've forgotten, how long did it take you from starting to learn first job? Okay, Pete, so 12 months in total, right? Bear in mind I was full-time in a fairly like decent management position, so I was working 1 or 2 days a week in London as well, and that took me a year. But I wasted a little while learning front-end web design and then WordPress, and so that probably took me months, maybe 2 months, maybe 3 months with practice as well. So I think like the course I'm writing and the accountability groups and the mentorship like mastermind groups I'm going to be running, they're going to be 12 weeks, and I'm going to the course will be split into 12 segments, and you can learn enough to be able to go off and practice on your own in the 12 weeks with dedicated training. And that is my aim, that's why I started to do things over the 12 weeks in my Discord group. That's the aim, is to get it done in 12 weeks. Right, that's been caught up on YouTube. Let me go back then. Best way to apply for contract roles. Okay, I covered that. H just put something like a weather app. Yeah, so weather app is at the very basic level. You want to be doing a little bit more than that, but it's a good place to start. So yeah, that's fine. Saul Goodman, Twitter API version 2 doesn't allow you to tweet anyone on a free plan. No, so that is a good point actually. There have been changes and uproar in Twitter that you can't do that. However, threads now exist, which is basically Facebook's version of Twitter. They might be more amenable to that. Also, it doesn't have to be a Twitter clone. Like, you can write a Slack, like I've got a Slack bot that I've written in Python that just listens out for a mention. So you create the Slack bot, you register it in Slack for your particular server, and then if I tag it, it will just respond, "Hi, what do you want?" sort of thing. But you can get it to respond with, "These are the commands that I actually can do," and that's what I've done in real life. So I've created Teams bots and Slack bots in companies, and that allows people to do stuff like shut down their AWS test environments, turn off certain things, like create themselves or reset their passwords, all sorts of stuff. And so a Slack bot or a Teams bot is a good thing to actually have developed, and you can deploy that as well in a Docker container, which is what I do. Can I get a job without work experience? Great, man. You might not have been around early on, but yes, in my Discord, I've just posted a job in the jobs channel that is a recruiter asking for someone with like baseline knowledge, IT literate essentially, willing to learn. And for that, I think, I haven't seen the salary, but that should pay 30k. Like, I've got a recruiter in my Discord. Basically, we're about 425 strong now, and there's one recruiter in there. He's the guy who placed me in my current role. Great guy. I've done a live stream with him, which is on my YouTube, which is Mark in the Cloud. You can watch that back about the things that you need. I cover off a bunch of stuff, like straight from the horse's mouth, what a recruiter is looking for. We talk about CVs, we talk about cover letters, we talk about certifications, like the baseline knowledge and stuff like that. So great guy. He sends me junior jobs all the time. Well, not all the time, that's a lie. He will send me them from time to time, or we'll put them directly into the Discord for my members, and that's a free Discord as well. Vivek, I'm preparing for AWS architecture certification. Do you have any hack to pass the exam? No, I don't. I haven't done the architecture or even the learning for it. I want to move into the solution architect stuff or cybersecurity element, so DevSecOps at some point, but no idea, mate. Balls on 2 courses down and loving it. I'm glad to hear it, buddy. H, how did you structure your CV for DevOps when you didn't have any experience? My CV didn't change. So have you seen my video? I did one last week. It's probably in the 3rd row or something on TikTok. The structure of my CV didn't change, but the skills, I can't remember which version of my thing I showed you, whether it was a skills table or not, but I still showed the skills, and then in my paragraph above I said like I was keen, I was self-taught, all of that stuff. But the cover letter is the important bit. So if you're sending your CV with no cover letter, you've got almost zero chance of getting through. You need to either work with a recruitment consultant to help get you in front of the hiring manager, or you need a CV that explains it. And my CV spoke about all of that. What is that? Ghost sent heart me. I don't know what that is, but thank you. Ghost sent a heart me. I'm not entirely sure what that means, buddy, but thank you. I think that's you like joining the community or something, isn't it? I feel like I've done that on someone else's before. Cheers, buddy. So yeah, the CV structure doesn't change. If you've got experience, no work experience at whatsoever, then obviously it's going to be blank. That's fine. They like if you're young and you've just left school or college or uni or whatever, obviously you're not going to have much. But if there's projects that you've worked on, either uni, a dissertation, or you've got any part-time work experience, you can talk about communication, ability to just talking up in meetings, all of that, like personal soft skills that are required in tech, which are not talked about enough. A big part of it, and a big part of how I've progressed so fast, is the fact that there are DevOps engineers with similar levels of experience as me, 3.5 years, not in positions that I'm in. Like, I'm a DevOps team lead now. I've been since with 3 years of experience. I'm only there because of my previous experience and the stuff that I bought from my previous career, which has been line management, ability to develop strategy and run projects, all of that stuff. So if you've got anything that you can think of that will increases the likelihood of you getting that role, then include that in your CV. You've just got to think how it can be transferable. And I know that's difficult for some people, but if you want any proper help, hop in my Discord, links in the bio. There's channels in there for CV, for cover letter, and you can send me a DM, a friend request on Discord, that's fine, whatever, I can help. Do you know how to land an internship? No, I don't, Duke, but internships tend to be for when you're at uni, right? I don't exactly know. Do we call them internships here? It's like a graduate scheme, right? You finish your course and then you go and do a year. I assume it's just a regular application process, but I've got no experience. All the interviews were remote. How did you dress for them? Interviews. My junior role was in person, so I got my junior role in November of 2018. Did COVID start in 2019? I think it did. If it did, then yes, I interviewed in person in 2018, and then in 2019 was when COVID struck, so everything was in person, interview and stuff. There was no whiteboard. The company was small. It was an IT manager recruiting me. The tech team were all developers. They just wanted someone that understood Linux and was willing to learn cloud, a bit like the role that I've posted in my Discord. So I dressed. I didn't go shirt and tie, which is what I'm used to. I went like smart jumper, trousers, or probably chinos, smart shoes, and like a shirt underneath, but no tie or anything. Nads, need an online job. That's basically what I do, buddy. I work fully remote. Check the Discord. Ahmed answered that for me. Like, I'm so far behind. Some of the questions have already been answered. As a junior DevOps, did you ever lie on your CV to get the job? No, never. Applied for lots of roles, but never lied. No need to lie, man. You'll get the problem with tech is, and I've known people to lie, is you get found out very quickly in tech if you can't do something. If you say you know how to do something, and then you are paired with someone to do that thing, then you're going to find yourself in all sorts of trouble, because the senior will just be like, this guy literally doesn't know what he's doing. Poodle Flump, good evening, buddy. Then you join a project with the most ridiculous tech stack, with a mountain of tech debt. My current company has a lot of tech debt. Getting it prioritised is difficult. S had an interview yesterday, and they asked me how was my coding experience, and I said I can code. Not the greatest. Long story short, I didn't get the job. Okay. Again, part of my course is going to be around structuring your CV, cover letter, but interview prep as well. So when I get to the video side of it, I will do maybe some dummy interviews. I'll get someone to ask me questions, or I'll do some sort of stupid sit one side of the table to ask the questions and sit at the other side, dress differently to answer them, to show you how not only to answer the question, to conduct yourself, like be with body language and stuff like that. It's difficult to see on TikTok here, but I can see me on YouTube. It's just to sit up and be confident and stuff. If you say anything with enough confidence, it changes the whole perception of your answer. It really does make a difference. Obviously, if you're talking absolute nonsense, it won't make a difference. But if you are convinced or convincing enough with something, say something with enough conviction, that often can make a difference. So confidence is huge. Biggest problem right now, I didn't get an interview. You were talking about those roles earlier. I struggle with Git, plumbing commands like pruning, etc. The basics are easy. So Green Rose, the Git stuff, some of the stuff is complicated, but I've just it'll be 4 years in November I've been in tech, and I just haven't had to do a lot of the stuff. But get a GUI. Like, if you work on, there's so many, like some of them are paid for, but even VS Code now has some pretty nifty plugins where you can just do this stuff so that you can just handle it in a UI, and you just don't have to worry about it. Let me just catch up. Sinister, I can see you on my YouTube chat, buddy. I just want to catch up on TikTok. Does the roadmap contain projects? Hassan, no. Hassan, so the roadmap is obviously a static image which just says here are the skills you need to know to get this. These are the skills you need to know as a DevOps engineer, right? And I've started doing video series about that as well, just going into a bit more depth. The thing that's going to set you apart with no experience is your projects in GitHub. Now, when I do I've just released two things. If you've already heard this already, I apologise. I've released two things. I've released an accountability group, which is a 12-week group where people are learning in their own time. We get together every week and find out how you're doing. Right, you set objectives right at the beginning and stuff like that, and we will check in every week to make sure you've done what you said you were going to do. If you haven't, why not? Like, it's going to be a fairly strict holding people to account group. Like, you've got to pay for it. It's currently £66 at the moment and that's 12 weeks of 1 hour calls with me in a group setting, plus 3 private live streams just for those 12. I'm only selling 12 seats, and we've got 9 seats left, unless anyone's bought any since I've been on. So there's that accountability group, right? And then I'm also going to write a course, but I've called it an ebook, but it's basically going to be like 0 to DevOps, and it will be in 12 weeks is my plan, right? So there'll be a written version which is available for pre-order on my website now, and there will be a video version as well that will go over loads more detail, but we'll also have both of those things will have exercises at the end of each section, which was a very long-winded way to say there's no projects in the roadmap, but they are going to be in my course and book. Great, man. Please, where can I get the Discord? If you go to the link in my bio, so it's like linktree/Mark in the Cloud, or just go to markinthecloud.com, and it's like one of the first links. But if you go to my link tree, it's actually one of those links, so you don't even have to go to my website to get it. Yeah, I can, hold on a sec. Can I drop a link in the chat? Might be the easiest thing. Invite people. Just a sec. Let me try and drop a link in the chat. Okay, that is not... Oh, okay, that might work. So if you can click on that, that is the link, direct link, invite into my free Discord, and then everything's in there. We've got learning channels for like roadmap courses, books, podcasts. I've got a bunch of project ideas in there. I'll just read them out if you can't be bothered to join or don't have Discord. I've got some specific projects around writing a Lambda or some sort of Python thing to check and disable user API keys in AWS if they're older than 60 days, to remove them and then send them an email automatically to let users know. Another one is the Twitter bot that I spoke about earlier, and so I was doing that. Might need to be replaced with something that has a more friendly API now that Twitter have increased and added charges. Then that one's slightly more difficult around creating an API gateway with Lambda attached to it, create a Slack bot, which I discussed not long ago, and then also creating an out of hours shutdown service. So when you get into the real world of cloud, you are going to shut down your non-production environments overnight to save money, and over the weekends if they're not being used. If you work with a global team that are going to need 24/7 coverage because you've got people in the States, in Australia and in Europe, then this won't apply. But a very easy way to Sinister, I'm coming, buddy. Hold time. Is an easy way to say you've identified cost savings and how you implemented that via a Lambda. Guys, if you're in here and you're enjoying this, drop a like, drop a follow. Trying to get to 10k. I don't know what happens at 10k, but one of the other guys I follow that does a similar thing to me is He's on 10k now, so I'm trying to catch him up. I don't know if he's still in. His name's Toby. Also drop him a follow. Can't you recruit me? I'm not recruiting Muddy at the moment, but believe me, if I have to recruit and I can convince my company to get a junior role, so at the moment it's me, team lead, and 2 senior DevOps engineers. If we expand our team and we can bring a junior on board, 100%, I will be reaching out to some of the people I know are following my roadmap and are active in my Discord, and getting people in the door that way, 100%. What practical use does Python serve as a DevOps engineer? Tutorials shying away from real DevOps. Yeah, Arts Cardenas. Yes. So the example I was just talking of actually was Python. So Python predominantly will be used in one of 2 ways in DevOps. It will be used in a Lambda, AWS Lambda, if we concentrate on AWS. So a Lambda is just a function running in the cloud, and I tend to write all of those in Python, and so that could be your that could be your Slack bot, which is then responding to being mentioned in a Slack channel, taking in the commands, and then doing other stuff in AWS. So it could be resetting your thing, it could be giving you a new API credential, it could be resetting your password, it could be creating you an S3 bucket, it could be switching on your QA test box. If you like, I've worked in a company where we had every user had an EC2 instance, which is like a self-contained custom image with everything they needed to do their QA testing, right? And they would log in every day and they would hit the chat bot saying I don't know, test env up or something, or test start, and all they had to do was say test start in the chat. The chatbot would read it, it would get their username, check the database that it was a registered user, and then it would start their environment and then reply and say it should be up in 5 minutes, sort of thing. So that's one application. Another application is for deployment scripts. So a lot of them are written in Bash. I've worked in a company that was really heavily PowerShell related. I don't like PowerShell at all, and I haven't really used it before. But yeah, so then a deployment script that then would either pull down code or go and grab an artifact from a repository, or even from an S3 bucket, and so just using it as scripting. I've also written a bunch of command line tools with it. I'm currently building one outside of work actually around just like budgeting and note taking and stuff. Boring like that. I haven't done much Python recently at work, and so yeah, I like to keep my skills sharp. Ryan Peter, what would be a good DevOps project to do for a final year dissertation for uni? Depends how long should it take, because what you could do is stand up a full bloody web service with all the architecture required, the IAM permissions, the security groups for networking, deploy an API gateway with a Lambda behind it, a Lambda for authorization, and then a Lambda for the CRUD endpoints. There's so much you could do. Like if you could build a full working, and then just if you learned a tiny bit of React or something, you could put a little front end app that allowed you to log into that web app and just like register some basic stuff. Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts, mate. Right, I'm almost up to date there. I'm going to move over to YouTube just a sec. Hi mate, currently in help desk for 9 months now, on 25k in the UK. How long will it take for me to get a junior DevOps role if I start learning now? I've never done help desk, so I assume what you've done is a bunch of user management stuff, some AD, like domain stuff, basic first line support, right? You're answering calls, resetting passwords and that. So a lot of that stuff is going to be less transferable, but the fact you've already worked in tech is massively going to help. I don't know if you were here before, but I'm saying I think with the right so all of the courses I've recommended are great, right? But they go too far in depth for a DevOps engineer. Like the Python one, assumes you want to be a Python developer. The Linux one assumes you want to be a full-on system administrator. There are elements, and they're two of the biggest ones, so there are elements of those where we could probably take 4 or 5 hours out of those 2 courses, and that's my intention, is to make smaller courses that are dedicated to things that I am using all the time and should be achieved at a very high level. Should be able to get through the course in 12 weeks with a little bit of practice exercise at the end of each week. That is my plan. So if you can narrow down the actual skills that you need, you could do it in 12 weeks. Then you need to practice, you need to build projects, and you need to be confident with the Linux terminal in particular, and deploying stuff in your own time. And hopefully that helps. Right, 12 weeks I reckon. Just seen all your project ideas. If I put all these projects into GitHub and show my potential companies with the whole of me. Yes, if you've got all of the courses to back it up, then the projects, some of those, that API gateway project is huge. And like, if you can do that, that shows a real good understanding not only of the cloud but also Terraform and stuff like that. Would it be easy for a business analyst in tech to switch to DevOps? I think having any tech experience is going to help speed things up. You still need the fundamentals, but you will understand loads of the terminology earlier. You still need the basic skills. Shout out Toby. Yeah, Toby Tech. Do you follow him already? Yeah, he's brilliant. I just basically posted more. I don't like PowerShell as well. I prefer Bash. Yeah, same. Love Bash. So much easier. I don't actually write much Bash, to be honest. Very, very basic commands. Sorry, mate. Sorry I came late. What did I miss? What did you miss, Bill? I was plugging my course on my ebook pre-sales. I was talking about a job that I've just posted in my Discord, which requires no actual experience, but you just need to have you do need to know the skills, but you don't need to necessarily have done the job, but you just need to be keen to learn. So that is in my Discord if you're interested and you're in a position to do so. Do DevOps have certain certs that they recommend? I mean, powerful, which that will very well help very much to land job. No, I don't believe that you need a certificate to do the job. You need to understand the skills, and you need to have projects to back it up. If you want, I wouldn't waste the money on the certificates personally. I had 2 certificates in my almost 4 years, and both of them were paid for by employers. My first employer paid for my Microsoft Azure Fundamentals, which is like the AZ 900 or something. Very, very basic. Like, that is just I'm interested in cloud, or I have to interact with people that talk in tech. It's such a high level, it was a waste of time. And then my second role, I'd never used Terraform up to that point. In my second role, I did the HashiCorp Terraform Associate, which was a bit more challenging but still not difficult. That's actually expired now, only last 2 years. That is out. Yeah, so I did that. I did that because I had to. You might have missed it at the beginning. I had to rewrite a bunch of our Terraform. It took me about 6 months, but I spent a good amount of time learning Terraform beforehand. Then I had to understand our Terraform, and then I rewrote it, which is why it took me 6 months. How do I get rid of John? I don't know what you're talking about, mate. Other projects you do at work, same as what you did while studying? If yes, please, can you expand? No, so the projects I did while studying were just to prove I knew the skills. The projects I've got in my Discord are things I've actually done, most of them in jobs, not the Twitter bot of course, but the Slack bot I've done, the turning off machines outside of the cloud, like EC2 instances or whatever, outside, and the DBs outside of working hours. That was an actual thing. Building an API gateway with lambdas attached is an actual thing I've done. I can't remember what the 4th one was. I have AWS Solutions Architect. I'm looking for entry role, getting really frustrated. Great man. Unfortunately, the certs are not going to be enough. You need more You need, have you got the projects? Sorry, if you might have said already. No, you haven't said. P. Clark, evening. How you doing, buddy? Great, man. Yes, the solutions architect, unfortunately, all it says is I can learn a subject and I can pass a multiple choice test. That's not enough in my eyes, which is why I don't promote them. You need to have the skills. You need to demonstrate that you have the skills and show that to your employer. And the only way you can convey that is by cover letter and CV. And so if you see my videos from last week, there should be like in my top 3, maybe 4th row. There's a couple where I cover my exact template, and also my templates are in the Discord as well. I missed a post up here. Ghost. I'm looking for a job in Italy where I can work and learn as a DevOps. Unfortunately, I don't have any experience with working outside of the UK. But interesting fact, my first company was an Italian-owned company. And they were so against the working from home that they refused it until COVID came. So, yeah, good luck to them. Also, they were hardcore. We had to work 42.5-hour weeks there. They were very, very strict. It was very. I'm very grateful for the opportunity, but it was a wild ride. I don't like doing 40 hours, even 40-hour weeks. My current company is 37.5. My previous career, I was doing 35 hours a week in the charity sector, and that is enough for me. What we got? Looking for a career change at 34, naturally anxious about a switch. Would you recommend DevOps? Yes, I do recommend DevOps, but just a sec, hold on. Is the £9 just for deposit of the book, Carl, in my YouTube? Yes, it is a pre-order, buddy. I tried to make that as obvious as possible. It's a pre-order. The book's going to be huge, right? It's basically going to be a course in a book. It's got 11 topics currently. I'm going to get a 12th topic as well. But if you have a look on the product page, you inevitably just clicked on and read, then it is just... Oh, the £9 not just a deposit, sorry. It is a pre-order, but that is the full price you will pay at the moment. So there are 100 copies. I've made 100 copies available, pre-orders. I don't know why. I think I'm probably not going to even sell 100. But I've said in the thing that I will do 100 copies at £9. If they sell out, it will be... Carl Feldman. I'm on TikTok and YouTube, buddy. I should probably put that somewhere. And my comments are not actually showing on my YouTube stream, are they? That's annoying. The stream elements thing's not pulling it through. Sorry about that. Yeah, Carl, I've got TikTok and I've got YouTube. Sorry if that's not clear for everyone. The book that you've bought will be the ebook version of my course, which is what I'll do first, and I will use that book to record my videos where I go in a bit more depth and it's actually more hands-on. So there's two different things. Okay, the video course you can't even pre-order at the moment. I want to focus on getting the content down, but the thing that you've bought, Carl, is the full price you will pay for that ebook. But that ebook is going to be like a huge course. It's going to cover all of the topics on my roadmap, and yeah. So hopefully, Carl, that's not a deposit though, buddy. That's all you'll pay. So yeah, hopefully that clears that up. That's the course. Yeah, Sinister. That is the one version of the course. There'll be the ebook, like I said, that will eventually go up to £49. There's 100 copies available at £9. Then there'll be 100 at 19, at 29, at 39, and then full price will be 49. I will send out first versions once I'm 50% of the way through it, because that'll give you a bunch of stuff to work through and you can give feedback on it, and then we'll start to ramp up the price when it's ready to go. But once I'm halfway through, I will potentially go and will actually record videos for all of the sections I've done so far. So then it will become, but then the video course will be available to buy separately. If you pre-ordered the book, you will get a discount on the video version. If you don't buy either and you wait till they're released, then there will be a bundle. If you buy one, you get the other cheaper, etc., etc. But I haven't figured out full pricing yet. By the way, I really like the overlay stuff. Looks good. Cheers, buddy. I'm actually working on new overlays because now I've got my logo stuff, but I just haven't pulled them through yet. I bought this one for like 20 quid like a couple of weeks ago, but it's not really in my brand colours now that I've rebranded. So I'm up to date on YouTube now. Just a sec. No, there's what are the most common Linux commands you use at work? To be honest, I don't use that many. So I work on a Mac, so I'm often doing stuff in my terminal. So I can't remember the last time I SSH'd into like a remote box or anything, but I use top all the time, or htop, which is like the process thing. I have that all the time to see how, just to keep an eye on my Mac, and then just basic things like moving around, like all my Git. Most of the things I'm doing in Linux are around not the Linux, but the Mac terminal, which is very similar. Is Git stuff, so source control stuff, moving files and things like that. I tend to do on the command line as well. Downloading, things, basically Git stuff, to be honest. But what you would do if you're remoting into a box, you'd be kind of going into files with a kind of Vim or Nano, if you prefer, editing files and stuff like that. And they're the things, like, other than scripting, there's not loads you're going to need to do manually all the time. Like, you kind of set up a bunch of scripts or a startup script that would then just deploy on every new machine, and so it just does a certain level of stuff for you all the time. And so once you've written that just happens automatically. Can't wait for your program. Can't find any like what you're talking about. Yeah, I know that, and this is it, right? Nobody's willing to put in the time it takes to teach people, right? Like, I earn a lot of money. I don't need to do this, and whilst I'm starting to charge for some stuff, I wish I had a mentor when I was doing this. I really do. Like, I tried to get one, like, from the tech guys in my in the charity I was working at the time. And like, he was helpful, but I was trying to go into web design then, and he was kind of a front end guy, and he was kind of helpful, but I didn't hear from him for weeks and weeks on end. But I just want to be as helpful as I can, and that's unbelievable to a lot of people. And some of the comments I had early on were ridiculous, and now I'm selling a course which I said I wouldn't do at the beginning, but I'm trying to do it with the best intentions. And I help out. I'm in my Discord every day. Every time I take a coffee break, I'm in there updating stuff. And I've put a bunch of shit out for free, and I'm genuinely just trying to help people get into the industry because it's so difficult. And having someone I think I'm approachable, to be able to ask questions to. I've hopped on voice calls with people to answer questions and all sorts. Like, I'm just trying to help because there's just nobody's really helping. Like, putting out content on TikTok is one thing, but like actually jumping on a voice call or a video call or live streaming, and like I'm doing now, and just answering questions just to help people out, it's like, it's just, people are not doing it. Like, you get to a certain level and earn a certain amount of money, and you just forget about everyone else. And I think I was brought up better than that. Right. I've got YouTube and TikTok, by the way, guys, for anyone confused on where I'm getting questions from. So let's hop back to TikTok for a second. Looking for a career change at 34. I didn't answer that, did I? Sorry, buddy. Yeah, so I changed career. I started learning in 33. I changed at 34, I think. And I recommend DevOps because the demand is still outweighing the supply, or supply is still outweighing the demand. We're very much in demand, is the point I'm making, and you can make money very quickly. So depending on what career you're at now, you'd need to drop, or you'd go to 30k probably for your first job. After a year, there is no reason why you can't move to 40 to 50. With 2 years under your belt, you're starting to push 60, 65, and then with 3 years, as long as they're 3 good years where you've got things that you can talk about at interview, you've actually developed, and starting to look at helping others and stuff, you can move to 70 plus at senior level, no problem. So yes, highly recommend. What do you do on a daily basis as a DevOps guy? So This week we've done, there's user management stuff. There's database upgrades, so we've done stuff like that recently. We had a chatbot that was in Slack, which we had to move out and put onto Microsoft Teams. Lambda stuff, like I said, to just help us out. A lot of the stuff is monitoring. Like, I don't talk about that very much, but we use Datadog for most of our monitoring. It's reviewing monitors. If things look like they're in a bad way, then you can hone in on that and set up alerts and stuff. So we're in charge of that. What else? We get questions asked to us all the time about what's wrong with this, what's wrong with that. We're maintaining pipelines for people, so we use Jenkins in my company, and we're currently running 2 Jenkins servers because we're in the middle of an architecture migration. There's all sorts of stuff. What else are my guys looking at? We are archiving like old data from a Mongo database, so we're having to run scripts to do that. Archive stuff, put it in a safe place, put it in S3 or whatever, and then go and delete those items out of Mongo. So we've just got like a role, and then setting that up on an automatic basis once it's up to date. There's all sorts. How are the business analysts of zero technology move into DevOps? I thought I touched on that already. You still need to learn the stuff on the roadmap, and you still need to prove that you know the stuff by doing projects and putting them on GitHub, and then you need to write a very convincing cover letter and a personal statement on your CV to convince somebody that you know the stuff. If you already work as a BA, you're in the tech team, just speak to the DevOps engineer, speak to the DevOps manager or the head of DevOps and ask them what you can do to get over there. I've worked in companies that are super helpful in terms of being able to move from one team to the other, so you can you might be able to get like a 1 day a week where you can spend time with them and find out what they're doing, but you're going to have to spend a lot of time on your own. Working on Terraform, I know how to use Git. Nice one, great one. The struggle I'm having is that we learn Linux and Python is so broad, I need to narrow it down. The Linux stuff, not that, you don't need to go that in depth. Like I was saying a minute ago, like the Linux course I recommend is deep. Like it goes way too far, because it assumes you want to be a system administrator, right? And it is a masterclass or something, so it assumes that you want to do a certain level. You just need to know the basics. You need to know how to move around in a terminal and not have a GUI. That is the crux of it, right? And then you've got man pages and help pages for everything else. As long as you know how to do the basics, how to move around files, where to find most of the basic things, how to look at processes, where they are, how to kill a process, how to restrict access and folder permissions, file permissions, how to create a script using the terminal in Vim or Nano and then making it executable and then being able to run it, how to use some of the networking tools like Nmap and stuff to see what ports work. Like there's a bunch of stuff, and then there's loads you don't need to know, so you don't need to go too far. Hey Mark, I work as an infrastructure engineer. Would you say AWS or Azure for progression? If you want to start your current company, whatever cloud they're using, I always say AWS, they're the market leader. That my opinion on that won't change until they're not the market leader. I also don't really like the Azure UI. Pete Clark, 48 hours a week. I hate it. 12-hour days. Oh yeah, but you only do 4 days a week, buddy. I'd do longer days if I only had to do 4 days a week. Just checking the YouTube. How long should you stay in a job if salary is important to you? Because I want a better salary. Okay, Sinister. My quick path was first job I was in 5 months and I went from 30 to 52. And then exactly a year, almost to the day after that. So 18 months experience, I went from 52 to 70. And then 18 months after that, so almost 3 years in total, I went from 70 to 95. In fact, I actually got a pay rise in between there to put me on 88. So the pay rise was really from 88 to 95. So yeah, you've got to get a year under your belt, good experience stuff. When you're doing projects, you've got to make a mental note or even put it straight on your CV of projects you want to talk about in interview, because it's so important to have good examples. Also, Mark, saw on your course you don't have LinkedIn optimization. Maybe a thought as well. That is a great shout. LinkedIn optimization. Let me make a note of that. I said something else earlier as well. Additional topics for book. LinkedIn optimization. I'll put that in with the CV stuff. What else did I say earlier? I can't remember. If I remember, I'll put it on. Cool. What have we got then? There's a follow there. Guys, if you're watching, you're enjoying this and you're not following, then please do. Wendy Onions. Mark, what do you spend 100k on? Do you know what, Wendy? I've been thinking about this. Just saying, like, I don't want to talk about money all the time on my channel, but whenever I do, the views are so much higher that people are just obsessed with money, or they immediately think you're lying, and so it just generates comments, even if they're negative, which then just sends the algorithm spiraling. So I am going to do what I spend my 100k on, or it's 109.5 when you take into, it's 105 basic plus 4.5 for on-call. So I'm 109.5k. What do I spend it on as a DevOps, in DevOps, as a DevOps, whatever. I'm going to try and do that tomorrow, okay? I just need to, because I want to start with the gross amount, right? And then the how much I pay for my pension, the on-call money, the tax, the national insurance, health stuff that I get via my business, my company that I pay for, and then like rent, mortgage, all of that stuff. I am going to cover that because I think the video will do well. My second ever video was about my salary and what I'd earned, and that is like, that's the one that's got over 500,000 views. And then I spoke about three tech careers that pay over 100k or pay 100k, and that one's done over 100k views, I think now. So, or it's getting that way. So yeah, as much as I don't want to talk about money, it does bring the views in. So I've been thinking about that this week. So watch this space. Got to love a good script. Yeah, Ian, absolutely. Wanted to get into DevOps, got Azure 104, but I was told solutions architect would be more congruent. Look, if you're getting the certificates, don't pay for them for yourself to start with, but if you're absolutely set on them, just do the courses, right? Because you're no worse off doing the course, having the knowledge and not having the piece of paper to say. You just need to write a convincing cover letter. So do the courses by all means, and list the courses if you want on your CV, but don't pay for them, please, unless you've got money to throw around. Don't pay for them because they're just not worth it. They're really not. I did a live stream. It's on my YouTube still as like a, you can click on lives and watch my previous ones. There's a live stream with a recruiter. He's also in my Discord, and you just don't need to you don't need the certs to get the job. Just a second. Guys, you've been pre-ordering my book. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you. Would you ever relocate? No. I've got a family here. I'm getting married next year. Like, no, I wouldn't. And where would I go? Like, I could go to the States, but the cost of living in the States is ridiculous. Like, I earn 100 now. If I went to Silicon Valley, I could probably earn 500k, $500,000. But I don't know. Like, the cost of living over there, you're looking at like even renting a place in Silicon Valley is what, $3,000 or $4,000 a month for the. No, it's just ridiculous, and I wouldn't take my family that far. Looking forward to the book. I'm all in. Appreciate that, Mobo. I assume you're one of the purchasers. Is AWS Cloud Practitioner a good certification? So Cloud Practitioner is like the base level, I think. I don't know if it's the same as Azure Fundamentals or that is even more basic. But I don't believe in cert, so I wouldn't recommend you doing it. If you want, like I just said, if you want to do the course, do it by all means. But get some hands-on experience. Go through the course of Cloud Practitioner if you want. Like, I've listed the courses on my website, and the Cloud Practitioner is on there, as are a few others. Do the course, but you don't need to pay for the cert. Do it so it takes you through the AWS skills, and because that's what I'll be doing in my course, right? I will take you through very similar stuff that would probably get you through the cloud practitioner, but I will be talking exactly how it gets used. Not a lot of these guys are doing it and they're just like, oh, this high level this, and do this, and it's just, they're just not in depth. And like, I'm doing the job every day. I'll tell you how we use it and how I've used it in the past, but you don't need the cert. I was told AZ104, I don't know what I said, AZ104 is more congruent. So roger that. There's a path, isn't there? So they might just be saying that if you do one, then that one, then a third one, then you get the full, like the overall certificate for like DevOps or solution architect or whatever, professional. It just don't mean anything. Can't find you on YouTube. Go to my profile, and there's a Linktree link, and at the bottom of that is actually two social icons. One is TikTok, one is let me just check on that line too. Links. Yeah, scroll to the bottom and there is a link to my YouTube. In my bio there's a link to Linktree. At the bottom of that is a link to my YouTube. If I can see it, but if for any reason you can't, just go to marketingcloud.com. The link to that is on Linktree as well, and one of the three boxes along the main section of the website is Marketing the Cloud YouTube, but it is youtube.com/ and then at Marketing the Cloud. Anyway, GitHub Action and Jenkins is much easier to learn. Great, man. Yes, GitHub Actions are brilliant. I'm trying to convince my company to move away from Jenkins and move to GitHub Actions. They're fairly straightforward. How can I start? There's no name there. How can I start? See the pinned video for my roadmap, and then join my Discord. Check out my websites, and there's a bunch of resources there for you. Sleep all of Friday though, Pete. That's the problem. 48 hours in 4 days, and then you're just knackered Friday. That's a shame. Hey Mark, really appreciate the channel. You did a nice job inspiring me. I wish you all the best. I appreciate you dropping in to say that. Thank you. Can I use the Terraform course work from A Cloud Guru as a project? Okay, no. Don't use projects from a course on your GitHub. Okay, they have to be your own ideas, because otherwise everyone's got the same. How can you, like, you're trying to do a project to split yourself from other people. Other people are going to be doing the same courses as you, so you need to think about that. Well, I'm going to try and catch up, and then I'm gonna sign off because we're at 10:30. Anything money related blows up, Toby. Yeah, Toby, I've been looking at your videos, man, and some of them are massive. That Scrum Master one you did, it was like, it's bigger than any of the ones I've done. And it's like you were literally just asking what Scrum Masters do. Crazy. And then the rock meme one, like those two together have got like 1 million views or something. It's crazy. How you get off IT support? Follow the roadmap, get the skills. Like, it's rinse and repeat, right? Or everyone asking about changing careers, you've got to follow the roadmap. You've got to get the skills. You've got to showcase the skills, and then write a very convincing cover letter and CV, and then you will start to get opportunities. But the projects are important. Toby, Dubai. Yeah, I mean, my sister has just got a visa to live in Dubai, and then came back. She said it's too hot, so I'm not sure I'm cut out for that. I've been sweating in the office at like even at 20 degrees, mate. So 40, 50 degrees will just kill me off. Got examples of projects but are no longer active or have the code. Does that matter? Yes, Joao. The whole point is they need to be active on GitHub, because the recruiter or the recruiting manager will go onto your GitHub and have a look. They want to see the code. So just saying you've done it is no good. Most of their ecosystem, how do you see that impacting DevOps? Connor B, most of that ecosystem, how do you see that impacting DevOps? I'm not sure what you mean there, buddy. What other job titles are there for DevOps apart from DevOps engineer? Peter, that is a good question. I think we covered this in my Discord. There's like, they're not the same, but they're very similar. So you've got DevOps engineer, cloud engineer, but tends to be a little bit more, well, Toby can probably tell you, a little bit more developer focused. You've got platform engineer. You've got site reliability engineer, and then I think that's it. And then you've also got things like DevSecOps, which is DevOps but with a security focus. There's at least those 5. Sorry, first half miss. How do you see AI impacting? Right, okay. Sorry, buddy, I was catching up. AI impacting DevOps. So if you go to ChatGPT and say, write me Terraform for a web application, it will get you 60-70% of the way there, but it's not good, and I would want to reread. I would want to read every line of that code, because I wouldn't trust that it is I wouldn't trust it it's accurate or secure. Like if you're using it for like application stuff, like I've used it for scripts, like some bash stuff I was doing on a web server recently, and I just wanted to find any files that had been edited in the last hour, because I thought I might have something malicious on the server. So I asked it to do that, and it took a few iterations, and I kept going back saying, oh, it's not working, it's not, oh yeah, and it was like, oh sorry, you need to do X, Y, and Z. And actually I got there in the end, and it was quicker than me figuring out how to do it. But like someone's got to write the prompts, and someone's got to understand what it's saying before you'd put that stuff in production. So our jobs are not going anywhere because of AI. It's taken all this time just to get this far. I don't think in our lifetimes it's going to get to a point where you just don't need it. You're more likely to see like no code stuff. So there's no reason why AWS couldn't when you're doing ClickOps, which means clicking around and creating stuff in the UI, there's no reason they couldn't spit out the Terraform for that. If they ever did that, then there would be a lot less requirement for us. If they could just do that and spit out, oh right, and then just maintain like a state file for it, and just be like, well, here it is. If you ever want to reproduce it, just click this button. That takes a huge chunk of our work. But we're more than just infrastructure as code engineers, right? We are architecting stuff. We are there's a culture stuff around getting people to buy into CI/CD pipelines and release velocity and stuff like that. So that it's just that it can't cover everything. If it speeds up any of our job, we'll just move our focus elsewhere, I think. What are the job titles are for DevOps? Oh, I've done that. Got it. Ghost, got it. Thanks. Nice one, Ghost. Thanks for all your tips and advice, Matt. Really appreciate your time. No worries, Ian. Thanks for stopping by, buddy. Sorry, first off. Oh, no, I've done that. We have customer uses AI for scripting, and none of them usually work anyway. There you go. Right, I'm just going to catch up on YouTube, and I think I'm going to wrap up, guys. Really appreciate everyone being here. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're on TikTok, please follow me. And if you're on TikTok, go to YouTube and subscribe. If you're on YouTube, go to TikTok and follow. What we got? Really appreciate you working on this, man. You're going to have a lot of people. No, Sinister. I'm saying Sinister. I assume that's short for that. Yes. Thank you, buddy. Do you think DevOps will get oversaturated? At the moment, no. I think there is a big requirement to we need to meet the demand, right? There's a huge demand for our skill set at the moment, and more people are moving to the cloud and away from on-prem infrastructure. So I don't think it's going to be saturated. Terraform now has a feature to import and also gives you the Terraform code to it too. Yeah, so Pootle on my YouTube has made a good point. But Terraform's been allowing imports for ages, and so what you do is you run an import, and then you can run a Terraform plan, and it tells you what you're missing, but it doesn't tell you exactly in the right format. Like, you can't just copy and paste it. You still need to decipher what is written for what is spat out, like the errors. It's saying like modules are missing or resources are missing, and you have to then turn that into the right code. It's 60-70% of the way there, but but it's been doing that for years. When I did that rewrite like 2 years ago, I was importing stuff all the time. Chat like Mark, thanks for the live. Noah's Pete, thank you. Moved to foreign country where don't speak their language, official language. Yeah, it will. Potentially, there was a lot of IT work out there on all levels. Honestly, it's busy seeing it. Yeah, like we're in a tech world, right? It's not going down anytime soon. Just for live and talk a load of sense. Love your videos. Ian, have you got a TikTok? Ian Branch, someone's just tagged you, Richie. You talk a lot of sense, bud. Love your videos. I don't know if he's talking to you or me, but I will check you out, Ian Branch. And if you've got good videos, I will drop me. If you haven't, drop me a follow, Ian. I will follow you back and check you out. Right, guys. Thank you very much, everyone. I'm going to end it here. I will be back. Richie's just tagged someone. Okay. No worries. Thanks, everyone. Yes, I appreciate you. Drop a follow. Like I said, if you haven't already, head over to the website. There's a pre-order on my course, a pre-order on my ebook. Yeah, if that's of interest to you. Nice one. Thank you, everyone.